here. Okay, welcome back, Heller Barnes. Of course, he's first because he's one of the greatest. And we have a fantastic guest today. And this is pretty cool because I have a daughter named Christine, I don't know. So I'll let Johnny give a great introduction for her. She's a fantastic person. We've been having fun behind the scenes. And how do you like to be addressed? Do you go by your full name? Do you go by like Christine?
Oh, that's a great question. I guess it depends. I usually go by Chris.
Do you? Okay, good. I'm glad I asked because I had no idea. So I was going to call you Christine the whole time. And so welcome. Happy you're here. And Johnny, I always like to find out how in the world do you know that you get these great guests? How do you two know each other?
Let me see if I can recall, because I'm bad at this, but Christine Hvam and I have known each other for well over 15 years, I'm sure.
Easy.
I think early in our audiobook career. Now, I started in the 90s. You started after that, I know. But when ACX started, here's how I remember her. When ACX started back in the early 1500s, there were these primers, and the face on 3 of them was Christine Hvam.
Yeah.
Really sweet. It was her, and she was there to it was teaching her how to use it, what to do. And I think this, I don't know if I knew you before this, but I know that some of us were invited to Audible in Newark when they opened to go there and discuss how it's working, what it's like, and meet people. And that may have been where I met you.
It's possible. I don't remember where we
Yeah,
met.
that's as close as I can come. And that had to be 8, 15, 16 years ago.
Easily.
And
Yeah.
and since then you've done what, 6 books? And is that,
Over
are you over that?
6. Yeah, over 6.
Okay.
Let me tell you, listen, you guys are watching.
Maybe even a dozen.
Christine is a fantastic coach.
Oh,
She's simply adorable in every way. She's helpful to everybody. She's been an inspiration to me. Seriously, a delightful human being. And she and her partner Jessica run curated audio, which
that's
we'll
right.
talk about as well, which is new. But the biggest reason that I was lucky to be included in 2 audiobook musicals that Christine worked on, that Christine developed and did, that were just absolutely highlights of my career. They were just wonderful. Um, Rumpelstiltskin was called, what the hell is that called?
Spin.
Huh?
It was called Spin, the Rumpelstiltskin
Spin.
musical,
Yeah,
and Puss in Boots, the musical.
and
Yeah,
Puss in
highlights of
Boots.
my career too, Johnny.
Yeah, they were so much fun. We worked together at Charles, the
Yeah,
Montebello Studios,
CDM.
CDM, and it was my first. Well, I'll tell you, but I was just scared to sing, and they had to spend a lot of time working me because I was mostly I could do it, but I'm like singing in the shower, singing myself, singing at home, but in front of people, I just froze. And you having with my career, it's
No
so
one
bizarre
would
to me.
ever know that though, by
Huh?
listening to the performance. No one would ever know that. You
Oh,
were
no, not that,
so
not
brilliant in the performance, so incredibly brilliant. I remember not only did I co develop and help produce it, but I acted in the first one. And I remember I thought I could sing, but the amount of auto tune that they needed to use on my voice became such a joke. I'm just like, well, I thought I could sing. I
well, you
was
think you
wrong.
can, and then you're up there with some really, really great
Oh,
singers.
she was Broadway talent.
And I was
Yeah,
like, "Holy
yeah.
crap." But then,
It was
as I told you before the show, after that, my dear friend Angela Rose Massey, cast me in, A Man of No Importance, and I played Baldy because of, my lack of hair, I guess. So, but it was, and I did a musical number, a solo. It was great, and the only reason I think I could do is because I had had the experience of working with you, pulling me out of my shell. Because it was, I just get so I think I grew up, I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but I was told many times what a shitty singer I was by
aw.
my family, which makes you not wanna sing.
Yeah, right. Who
So, yeah,
wants to sing when
yeah.
everyone else around you is saying, well, you sound
Mom and
terrible?
I wrote a musical when I was a little boy, and
Oh,
I was severely
you were
chastened.
traumatized.
Yes.
You poor thing.
So
You poor
how
thing.
did you get into audiobooks? So you were working on the
Oh,
farm first, right? Is that correct?
I was working on a farm. How did I get into audiobooks? So I typically tell people work begets work, and I had been doing dubbing work, ADR work down in South Jersey for Turkish television, Turkish soap operas that were being dubbed into English. And the two directors that I worked with One of them went on to direct Pokemon, and so I had a lot of experience. They brought me over to Pokemon, and I had um, oodles of fun doing Pokemon. And then the other director that I was working with went over to Audible and was like, "Hey, I think you would enjoy this." And the rest is kind of history. My first year doing audiobooks, I think I did two, and the second year, I think I did over 40.
Do you
And
remember when you started, what year it was when you began?
2008.
2008, okay.
and now
Yeah.
you're in the 400 or 500 type range.
It's so funny. I love that people keep track of how many books they do. I have no idea. I really don't. And then I went to try to count. And I think on the Audible website, sometimes they like remove them or
Yeah,
they'll
yeah,
add you to something that you never did. So somewhere around 500.
Okay.
I
yeah.
don't, north or south. I really don't know because there's a lot of books I've done, under a pseudonym
Right.
that don't really get counted in
You
that
do
list.
under the Johnny Heller pseudonym, right?
What's the Jenny Heller
No,
pseudonym?
you say
Use
you're
my
Johnny.
name, he said.
Oh,
That's
For the
popular,
really
by the way.
racy stuff, yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, yes, that's kind of how I got my start was, people that believed in me and liked my work and then introduced me to other folks who then introduced me to other folks. And um, I really think being easy to work with and being a joy to work with and having some fun and coming incredibly prepared and ready to work is what nailed my career. I'm never the most talented one in the room, but I always say, I show up prepared and I'm easy to work with. It's probably why I get cast.
You
Let's talk about that for a second, because I've
Yeah,
often opined that very thing. Earlier in, prior to the audiobook world, like when
yeah,
I started out in commercials and things like that, I always thought, if there are Christine Vam types or Johnny Heller types, that whatever that type is,
yeah,
age, and you go to the call and you see a whole bunch of versions of you, and everybody has a certain talent level. There's nobody's
yeah,
going to be so superior to. They're not going to find out when they talk about buffering or Milk Bone brand dog biscuits or something. But so whatever the commercial is, it always seemed to me if you were fun, just had a good time and fun to work with, you stood a better chance because these shoots, these whether it's voiceover or camera, it's long days.
yeah,
And the last thing they want is for the talent, which is super important, to be a diva or a pain or difficult to work with.
yeah,
So the ready smile, the fun, the
yeah,
happiness, that means that might be a nice day for them. And I think it
yeah,
made a difference. And I found it interesting you brought it up now because even though we don't have very often anymore the chance to audition live for people,
yeah,
sometimes who you are, your nature comes through. If you let it, like you can, when you audition for something, I say you can say, really appreciate the chance. Here I go. Unless they tell just
yeah.
something that sets you apart a little bit.
Sure.
I'm
You
I
do
remember
that
when I
very often?
what's that?
Do you do that very often?
Yeah. If they don't know me, I mean, let's be honest. I'm not gonna pretend people know in this industry. They know who I
Yeah,
am.
yeah,
But some of the newer people, they know my name, but don't know what I'm like. So
yeah.
either in my response email,
Oh, yeah.
I'll put in personality, of course. Sometimes in the actual take, they don't want that. You never know. But I'll tell you
Mhm.
one thing. Jamie Matler?
Yeah,
Sure, Jamie's. We love her. So when she went over to work producing for Apple,
yeah.
I auditioned to be an Apple newsreader guy, and they didn't like the sound of this particular booth. Since then, I put these acoustic things in there. Bill Lord put them, set it up and stuff. So it all sounded. But when they said, "Sorry, there's something about your sound," it's not. I said, "Well, don't write me off." I said, "I'm going to fix my booth. I'm going to do it, and I'll send you another audition as soon as it's ready to go. Is that okay?" They said, "Well, sure." So they probably forgot about me. But a month later, once things are done, I sent them the stuff, and I said, "Here," and they had 3 auditions. 3 read this story, that story, that story. I'm thinking,
Right.
God, how boring. So I said, "You just wanna know my sound." So I'm in the booth and I said, Instead of reading this story you've heard it 30,000 times, here's a joke." So I did a reasonably clean but funny joke. So then they got to know my sound and they got to know what I'm like.
Yeah,
And I did get the job and I do work for them regularly, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I'm fun to work with.
yeah. I think I well, you're also incredibly talented, but
and good
you're
looking,
absolutely
and good looking.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
important in radio,
Don't
yeah.
yeah,
Voiceover.
but
yeah. But to be
I've got
be to be willing to sort of like work outside of things and to be easy to work with and take direction and be able to go in another direction and not marry your ideas. Yeah, I think those things go a long way to
And,
making it in the voiceover industry as
and
well as
because
audiobooks.
now you're producing as well,
Hmm.
we'll talk about how you got into that. But I've had chats very recently, as a matter of fact, with folks because nobody likes. Everybody understands. Nobody really likes retakes. Pickups.
Oh, I'm like the
Because
queen of pickups. I
yeah,
don't mind them at all.
but I don't really mind them because if it's a lot, whether it's a 6 or 15 hour book, you're going to make a mistake. So, and I
Yeah,
think I would rather it be caught and fixed.
yeah, for
I
sure.
find a lot of my colleagues get upset if if there's disagreement
Okay.
in pronunciation. B, if there's going to be um, if it's just a little too picky, like I think Positron's very picky and
Yeah,
doesn't quite understand, or if they question what is really an acting choice.
right.
However, what a lot of you actors out here don't know is that generally the people who are doing the editing and the proofing are friends
Yeah.
with the publisher, with the people who hire them. They
Oh,
work in the same office. So how you approach your complaints or issues, it's fair to have them. But again, here's a chance to win people over as opposed to be in opposition to them. You'll
yeah.
recall when I did that book with the Austrian serial killer guy. Remember?
Yeah.
Some years ago, and Christine's husband comes from the town. This guy, I can't remember the name of the book, but Fassbender was in the movie. So um, Christine's husband is from the town this guy was from, and there was maybe 2 pages of German, and I don't know why, but it was there, and I
Yeah.
don't speak German. So I called, and he was kind enough.
Yeah. He recorded it for
He
you.
recorded the page and a half, 2 pages, and then he did it again slower so I could follow it. So all I did was echo him, literally, and I did everything exactly. And I listened. I said, "Man, that's exactly what I sound perfect." So I get the retakes, and this comes back, said,
It's wrong.
I mispronounced it. I said, "I didn't." The guy it's he lives there for God's sakes.
Yeah.
And apparently their proofer had spent a week in a kibbutz somewhere, or how do you say it? Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Hotel.
somewhere, and apparently they knew some German, so therefore they were the expert,
Oh,
as opposed to the actual German guy I talked to.
yeah.
So you can get furious, or you can have some fun with it. But what I do in my retakes, I say things. I say, "Oh,
Yeah.
come on, you're being so picky." I'll say stuff like that because I think it's more interesting for them to listen,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, usually, it's funny, I do the exact same thing, and what I coach people to do is do the retake the way that it was asked for, but in the recording, you can say very politely that you disagree, where you can be
Yes,
like, "Hey, I actually think this is a typo, but I'm gonna re-record it for you anyway." Um,
exactly that.
because ultimately, they can then take it to the producer or the publisher because you don't wanna waste everybody's time arguing, going back to the publisher, arguing about those pickups, and inevitably having to do them anyway.
Yes, and
You
and
might
you
as
seem
well
like a
just
bad egg.
yeah, you just do it, and in the moment, you can say, "Hey, I looked up this pronunciation, and this is what I got. I'm happy to redo it. Here you go, and I'll forward over the link, of where I got my pronunciation from." It's a
That's perfect.
conversation. This is a professional world.
Yeah.
Those folks make mistakes too.
I
They can overlook something. So,
I will say, however, that if you're sure you're right about a pronunciation, like
with
because
the
I grew up in
German stuff,
Chicago, I get a lot of Chicago books, and there are 3 streets, I can't remember them anymore, but they said, "No, you mispronounced these 3 streets," and I'd lived on 2 of them.
yeah,
And I said, I said, "No offense, I'm not redoing it because I
yeah,
live there, that's how to say it, and let's be honest, it's my name on the book. It
yeah,
never says proofed by, you
yeah.
know? It's like
But you don't put
edited
that
by."
last part in, do you?
No, yeah, I
No,
live
No, I
no.
mean, you don't go, I've lived there, you're an idiot. That's the right way to
No, no,
approach it,
I'm not
right?
You
quite
don't
like
add
that.
the "you're an idiot" part.
No, I
Oh,
don't put that. It's that's however, that is in, in I can't speak. That's in the tone. I do
Yeah.
have it in my mind. "You're an idiot." You can tell when I say it. "Hey, Don, how are you?"
I
yeah,
try
Look
to
at
be
me,
I've
I
heard that
try to be
before.
really,
here.
um, I try to be really careful with, all those editors and post-production people. They work so incredibly hard. They get next to 0 credit for all the work that
Yes,
they're doing.
and they
Um,
become casting people.
and that's exactly what I was about to say, but they move up the ranks, and I always end my pickups with a recorded thank you for all your time and your talent. I appreciate you making me sound as good as I do.
Oh,
Oh, that's
I
brilliant.
always say a thank you to the post people because, like I said earlier, I am the pickup queen. I never have less than 100 pickups ever.
really?
Oh, and when I do, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy for me. But really, the reason is that, I'm focused on the work and the acting and the performance. I can't focus on that many things at
Yeah,
once.
yeah.
So, yeah, there's going to be some misreads.
And by the way, Chris Walsh asks, what was the joke I told for the but I don't remember what it was. I'll try and think about it.
You
While
could have lied
not
and just
listening to
come
him.
up
I don't
with
remember what it was.
something.
Some
You
joke
have
or
2 or
probably
3, I think, don't you?
yeah, I know a number of jokes. Um, that's something else that comes here's some we'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about how you started, but when you're researching stuff
Yeah,
so, let's say you're on YouTube, looking up how to say Christine Vam or something, because
yeah,
yours is a hard name.
yeah, it
It's not
is.
so you don't wanna say you wanna get someone to say it. So you look and so the algorithm on YouTube knows what you like. So for me, there's Jiminy Glick, there's the Martin Short character,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's Norm Macdonald, there's Groucho Marx, there's all this funny stuff. So every time I have to go to YouTube, look something up, it's not a 1-minute lookup. It's a half hour spent watching crap that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. But one of the
But
things
it's a
I'm
good
finding,
half hour.
they do I've re-fallen in love with Norm Macdonald. I just think he's hilarious. The late great Norm Macdonald. You know who
Oh,
he was?
no, I don't.
Norm
Certainly.
Macdonald can't talk like he was on Saturday Night Live during
Oh,
the OJ.
that guy. I
Remember he got
love
fired
him.
because he wouldn't stop saying,
Yeah.
of course, yes, OJ's a murderer. That's so but he tells jokes that aren't necessarily funny, but he stretches a two-line joke for 15 minutes
That's
of
hilarious.
just
I
and
do
I
remember him. I
he's very
forgot
funny. You
all
gotta look
about
up some
him.
Norm Macdonald.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything.
No, that's all right.
So
So
I
tell us okay, so you get out of
Okay.
college wherever you went.
Oh,
Were you a
boy.
theater major?
No, and I should have been, and oh God, that's such a long, boring story. So
No, don't tell it then. Skip it. Go next.
I I I ended up going to school for broadcasting because I got into NYU Tisch, but I couldn't afford to go. And so I didn't want to pay loans. I was like, I don't want to have $100,000 of
Yes.
loans and be an actor. It just felt
Yeah.
really irresponsible to me. So I ended up going to state school and I studied broadcasting and I got out of school and I worked in that world for a little bit, but it wasn't scratching the performance itch. And so I decided to quit my job, become a bartender, and pound the pavement for voiceover work during the day. And I got lucky enough. Like I said, I booked that dubbing job. Those two directors, one brought me into animation and video games, the other brought me into audiobooks, and kind of the
Yeah.
rest is history. And then I had children not too long after that career started in 2013. My daughter was born, and I really needed to make a decision if I was going to continue to follow all forms of voiceover and trek her into the city with me all the time as an infant to go to auditions for 3.5 minutes,
Yeah.
or if I was just going to focus on audiobooks. And so I made the decision to focus on audiobooks. And so, that's kind of where this career went. So,
So now so you should but I wanna get to curated audio
yeah,
and podcast, but I also wanna talk about how did you get to, work with, Neil and those guys
Neil and Harvey.
on the musicals? Tell us about
So,
that story.
I had been narrating for a number of years at that point, and the kids were getting a little bit older, and uh, we had a nanny here in the house, and it was starting to get really difficult to work from home. And so I was like, I need to get out of this house. I need to like
Yeah.
be somewhere else. So I had known Neil and Harvey. They own a company called HoldCom. They do on hold messaging service for all sorts of companies, big, huge government companies, and yeah, they've got a pretty good gig going on. And I had worked for them years and years and years prior when I was just starting out, and I knew they were located in the same town that I had moved to. So I called them and I was like, "Hey, do you guys happen to have an office that I could rent in your building for like next to no money because I'm nice and you want to help me out?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." So I ended up renting an office there and we just sort of started chit-chatting and talking, and I found out that in their past they had written all of these musicals. and they had written big, huge production type musicals. And then they had written these small children's musicals. And the idea kind of hit me. I was like, I have all this production experience from my life before voiceover when I was doing television and radio production. I was like, I think I could produce an audiobook musical. So I had asked them, I said, can we take one of your musicals? We can write all the stage direction as narration, do a big multicast performance. They already had all the music recorded. We just needed voices over it. And let's do the very first audiobook musical. It's never been done before. And they had no experience whatsoever in this audiobook world. And so we're very easy to convince because I sort of was like, hey, I know everybody. And of course they're going to hire me. And of course they're going to say yes, which was total bunk and total nonsense. But, if you believe it enough, it could happen. So I sort of convinced them to take a chance. And we started working, and then we started, pitching the idea once we had recorded it and we put all the money into it, and then we were able to sell it. And HarperCollins published both of those.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we won
It won an
Audie
Audie for Spin, and and a Sovis, and it won a Sovis for Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think did it win an Audie for Puss in Boots?
I can't remember. I have to look. I think they were.
Can't
It was so
remember.
much fun. And
Oh, I think we lost to Charlotte's Web or something. That was a
oh
big
yeah.
No,
somehow.
that's tragic and
Yeah.
inappropriate.
It was
But
such a wonderful experience. I'm telling
yeah,
you, it was, and I getting to work with a big group of people who
yeah.
care about the story and are really professional and fun. It was so much fun. So many,
And
some
it was such a different experience because Neil and Harvey had zero experience in the audiobook world. Everything that they had experienced was Broadway and theater. And so we very much approached it like a theater experience. So we had live rehearsals beforehand, and we would rehearse the music and we would rehearse the scenes. And as you know, that never happens. Even in
yeah.
multicast audiobooks, it's like you get in there and what happens is what happens. There's no rehearsal. So that was a pleasure to sort of you built a relationship with everyone before you got into the studio, and then once we got in the studio, really allowed for all the magic to happen. And it was a phenomenal group of people: Broadway actors, audiobook actors, voiceover actors, Neil and Harvey, who were not a part of that world at all. So it was just a great collaboration of creative folks. I couldn't have asked for a better experience,
Literally
for
one of the
sure.
most fun things we've done. Let's handle some of these questions, Don.
Yeah.
Yep. What was the, this is a three-parter, which is really good.
Okay.
What was the hardest project you narrated? What
Okay.
obstacles did you encounter? And what
Okay.
did you do to overcome them? Very complete.
That's a great question. The first answer that comes to mind might not be the answer that comes to me at 3 in the morning when I wake up thinking about this. But there was a project that I recorded. So I don't do a lot of romance, specifically because I'm uncomfortable with the explicit scenes. So I don't typically take them. And early on in my career, you kind of take whatever is offered to you. And so I had taken this very explicit romance book whose main character had the same exact name as the engineer that I was working with, which made it doubly uncomfortable. So it was really challenging for me as a total and utter prude at the time, um, saying and having to perform all of these explicit romantic ideas in word form, which I call porn on paper, in front of another person. And then, also have them have the same name. But the way that I got around it and what I found um, was really helpful was to sort of flip my thinking about those scenes. And while those scenes are really explicit and I would never say those sorts of things, instead of focusing on the physicality of the sex that I had to describe, I turned my focus to the relationship between people because that I can relate to. Um, two people who are madly in love, super passionate about each other, can't keep their hands off of each other. That human connection is what got me past the explicit scenes so that I could perform them honestly and authentically without feeling gross and disgusting. So that's the first one that comes to mind.
That's pretty amazing. That's smart. And so now I did notice in your looking on the Audible thing on the site, you do tons of multicast books. At
Oh, I
least it
love to.
seemed like
Yeah.
it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And
Yes, I've had a lot of experience with multicast.
that's probably because you kind of almost practically started it. Um, but right, so you were an early adopter of that. And the books you do today are most of them multicast, or it's just a
That I
mix?
narrate or produce?
Oh, well, either.
Um, no. I would say the majority of narration work I do is single voice. I think the majority of audiobooks out there are single voice.
Right, right.
So just by, the way that the industry goes. But anytime a multicast comes up, I will move my entire schedule around to make time and room for it. I will never say no
Yeah.
to a multicast experience. It's just too much fun. And I think my experience in voiceover work doing animation and video games
Mhm.
um, is a huge help to multicast work in audiobooks.
Well,
You know,
what
developing characters, using character voices, knowing accents and dialects, and knowing how to manipulate different vocal layers to create different sounds so that you can play multiple characters in a scene.
In multicast, a lot of times what happens is Chris or I just may get cast because we have a large toolbox of characters and voices and things to draw from.
Right.
We play multiple characters in a lot of these things. In
Yeah.
others, you just play one, just somebody,
Yeah.
and you never like in Charlotte's Web, I think I was a carnival barker or something. That was it.
Yeah.
But in other things, in we did Macbeth with Paul Rubin directed, and I played about 8 different
Yeah.
characters.
Because you
And
can.
it's just it's so much fun. It's even if you're one of the advantages to working with Christina, the things we did in Puss in Boots and Spin, we were all together in the room, and that happened with I did Kent State. I've done a few books like that. A lot of times in multicast, and everybody needs to understand is it may be similar to what we're doing right now.
Hmm.
Don directing, and maybe if Chris and I have a scene together, or it's just Christine doing all her roles,
Right.
Don directing, then Don gets me and
Yeah.
edits all the stuff in. That happens a lot. You're
Yeah.
not 'cause most studios aren't big enough to accommodate a large cast, and most budgets aren't big enough to accommodate a live in-person cast. It's a
Correct.
different price structure.
Correct. Yeah. So there really are you're right. There's three different ways that multicast gets
But I
recorded.
will say multicast is a wonderful way to build your resume and get an audio award.
That's not wrong.
Let everybody else do the heavy lifting. You show up, say a few words, and
But I
take
mean,
home take home the trophy.
they're just so much more fun to do. It's like a stage performance, but you don't have to
Yes.
put a costume on,
Yes.
and
Well,
you get to play tons of characters.
But
yeah.
is it a different fun though? If you're all by yourself
Yeah.
recording it, obviously that's going to happen much of the time, and you don't have any direct interaction with somebody else, so you're playing your lines.
Yeah.
How do you deal with not having somebody to play off of when
Oh,
you
but I
obviously
do.
have those big holes?
Yeah, but I do. So when I'm coaching, by Johnny's reaction, I think he's going to say the exact same thing I do. Is acting is reacting, right? That's like lesson number one in acting school. And so I am reacting off of what I just said, and then what I said then, and then, and then. And so it kind of just goes in a line. And it's a little like multiple personality
Yes.
disorder maybe
Yeah.
because you sort of can embody both of those characters or all 10 of those characters having a conversation, if you've done the work to understand who they are.
It
um
gives you a chance to play out your psychoses in real time.
right. Right, exactly. So you really are reacting off of your own performance, and if you can stay present and you can listen even to yourself, you can have a really great performance as
But
one person playing
so
up
so
to 80, 100 characters.
well, but okay, but how about if the other character in the scene is not yours? So you're
Yeah.
doing and then so do you
And
like
so
say the line of the person before you and then say your
yeah.
line?
Well,
Or
I mean, if you're recording an audiobook, you're doing everything. So yeah,
right,
you're having
right.
that whole conversation.
The
um
Don, do you
I
mean if
mean,
let's say you and Chris have a dialogue and you
right.
say, "How are you today?" and she says, "I'm fine," but she's only doing "I'm fine."
Right.
Are you asking if she says, "How are you?" first to
Yes,
herself?
yes, yes.
oh,
So
you mean
that's
if we're doing wild lines from a multicast?
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Don. I misunderstood your
Well,
question.
somebody has to ask a reasonable question here, and
I'm not
some
gonna.
somebody didn't clarify.
Well, I guess it's exactly the same. You know, you're reacting off of that line that comes before.
Do you
It's
I
the
say
way
it
you
out
would.
loud? Do you think it? So, you know,
Um, that's a great question. What do I do? I think.
because that's the way most people, isn't that the way? Like, if I'm getting started with this and I've never done them, they're not going to send me, and we're not going to do it in a
Well,
group, maybe, and they're going
the
to send me
last
just my lines to do.
Yeah, so
How
the
do I get in
last
that?
one that I did, the last multicast that I did was sort of a combination where I had the director feed me the lines
Okay. Okay.
on the first take, and then I did it myself for the next two takes.
Yeah.
But I
If you
wasn't
don't have a
feeding
direct,
myself lines. I was just kind of remembering the
if there's
interaction.
no director or someone working with you, then you basically have to have it in your head.
Yeah,
And what happens is because here's where the acting comes in. You're in a scene with someone else, even though the someone else is still you.
yeah,
If it's
exactly.
voiced you, that's easier. But if it's unvoiced you, in other words, Don's going to have all the lines.
Right.
I'm still reacting to your lines, even though you haven't said them. It's
Correct.
part of what I hope is the talent toolbox there.
Yeah.
But there are other times. Let's say I did. I was brought in to do Richard III. For I think it was a school. It was rewritten for something. It was really well done. And, but all the lines had been done, so I had they played me the line and I reacted.
Oh,
That's not often the case, especially if you're the lead in a project. Everyone else will react to you as opposed to the other way around. This was a fill-in kind of thing. Something had happened to the guy, whatever. Anyway, different things happen, but part of the acting training and part of the acting skill, frankly, is being able to respond as though you've heard the line even though you never have.
Okay.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's understanding how to interpret the line and the subtext of the line. And if you don't understand subtext, I think it can be really
Isn't that
difficult.
just lower down on the page?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I mean, technical, like, we want to make this easy for people. Just,
It's the less than obvious text, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I was explaining subtext to my son, and he was asking me, he's like, "Well, what does that mean?" And I said, "When I ask you, what time is it? What am I really saying to you?" And he's like, "That we have to go to school." And I'm like, "Exactly. That's the subtext, that we
Yeah,
have
there
to go
you
to
go.
school. But what I say out loud is, what time is it?"
right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was
How
like,
are
"You
you?
understand subtext
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very well."
And of course, here's Don. There's all
Yeah.
kinds of subtext there.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Hey, but we're at the halfway mark. I wanna take some of these questions, but
Yeah, sure.
I wanna take a breather here in our chat with the lovely Christine, and I wanna talk about something Don's got working on.
This
He's
is
brought up
so
a number of times. Don, this would be a wonderful time, the halfway point, to, tell us about this wonderful new project you have.
Yep. So I've been working on this for months, and it comes out of pre-check, but it's called pre-read. So it's a prep tool. And and just today I got the vocabulary working, so I'm really proud of that. Um, and what I'm going to do is just show you a preview of it, and you'll get to, I need some beta testers later this week. And but it has to be people that are willing to test a book that they have already narrated. And the reason is, I'm going to show you a book here that you've never read, and you're going to see all the summaries, and you're not going to know whether it was right, wrong, and did it get the characters right? Did it get the categories right? But I'll show you. But so that way, we're testing real things that you've already done, so that when you'll have confidence that it can handle your future projects as well. And let me pull this up on screen, and I'll show you the results. And I ran this just about an hour ago. And there's a book, and at the very top here, it tells you that there are 58 chapters, and that it is a 9-hour book, and it ran all this in about 6.5 minutes. It got these results in 6.5 minutes. And what it does is it comes out
Holy
with
moly.
chapter summaries, and you could expand them all, and it looks through the chapters and gives you a nice little summary of the story arc just for that chapter. And the characters that were in the speaking characters only who are in that, we don't catalog any of the other characters if they don't speak. I don't want to say we don't care, but if they don't speak, then the narrator's dealing with that, or the scene does that. Then we have a list of all the speaking characters arranged by stars and co-stars and supporting characters. So if they're a star, that means they have a significant portion of the speaking in the book, and we give you their backstory and
Wow.
some accent hints, meaning things came up in the book that he's normally quiet voiced, and the way other people talk about them. So you have some background. This person happens to be Navajo or come from that kind of background in the story. and we picked
Absolutely
up
brilliant.
things that occurred in the story, and we tell you at some point you find out that that's his background, and then his alternate names, because this is the first time he appeared, had his full name for some reason as the first time he appeared, and then he's also known as Mike and Murphy and Mike Murphy and Chief and some other things like that. We picked those up, and of course, co-stars get a smaller. Matter of fact, I want to put like it should have a second paragraph there, but because they're still significant players, and for some reason right now I'm coming up with a little less. But point is, snippy tone, exhibiting attitude, whiny tone described. Okay, so that for that particular character, either somebody said about him or her, snippy, whatever. It came up in context of the writing
Jeez.
by the author to describe this person, and so we pulled that out and gave that to you. And then the other thing here that this is not easy, but anyway, nobody will care when it's done. We pull out word lists of things,
Wow.
and you'll be able to customize this in terms of, you want 8th grade level, you want high school, you want post, so that if you're like my wife, who's just brilliant at that kind of thing with her background, then it's not going to pull out the word
Right.
because she gets that already. But when you drill down on this, it gives you some context of it, including, where we can, it pulls out the sentence where the word existed in the book and the context of what was happening there. And then if you don't like any of those, you can cross-check it against some different Cambridge Dictionary, Forvo, and these are all configurable. So including, if you want to go out to YouTube, you click one time and it'll bring you up a page with about a dozen videos from YouTube from their highest ranking that have this word in it. So, and then it has this stupid thing that, I don't know, everybody else who's in this business seems to be able to look at that, and now they can pronounce that word. I look at that and say, oh, forget me. Spell it out in English or something that I understand. I don't get this stuff, but all you people who are good, you will know it. But it does say things like stress the fourth syllable, articulate all four parts clearly, and it goes through and gives you interesting take on these. But if you don't, the vocabulary is very tough because you all know this. There's not one way to pronounce something. It's
Mhm.
context
And there's
dependent.
regional pronunciations. Does
Say,
it work on regional pronunciations if you
yes, it
tell it
does.
per region? That's amazing.
It is actually looking through to try to get that context. That's one of the things that I'm very proud of, the way it is working, where it's looking at how it was used in the book and what's around it and the context of it, so that it's not giving just the Don pronunciation, which is usually wrong. It's you doing it knowing that if it was set in the South, it understands that, and some context going around it, and the context that it was used in this book. For example, there was a book on impala. The book had the word impala, which I guess is an animal. I didn't know that,
Yeah,
Yes.
but it's also the name of a car.
yeah.
Right.
And
And
because
I
in
would
this
say
story,
Impala.
yeah, so in this story, when it came up, I looked at it and I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Oh, it's talking about the car. And it had the sentence, and so it was a Chevrolet Impala. And so
Chevy Impala,
it
yeah.
gave you the idea that this is not the animal Impala. And I thought that was pretty good that we're able to find that kind of stuff. And then of course there's a summary. So we took 9 hours and 23 minutes worth
And
of finished
summarized.
and summarized the whole book. And because I think you will only read that once or twice, maybe whatever, they put that book summary at the end. I think you will look at chapter summaries the whole time
Yeah,
just before you go in to read. You might want to refresh your memory. Of course, you've also read the book. This is called pre-read, but
yeah, you can hope.
you would hope. But anyway, you can get a refresher of what the chapters that you're going to read are,
This
and
is
just
amazing.
and then who the characters are with a short little, so that you don't have to go look at their whole backstory. Just in this chapter, what they are set as, and just enough to remind you. But I'm assuming you did your homework and you know the speaking characters. And right now, by the way, when you're here and it has this person's name, it doesn't do anything. But what will happen ultimately is you'll hover over this, and actually the information that's over here will pop up, because we
Oh,
know who this is. And if you, so therefore, while
Right.
you're looking at the chapter, you would be able to go, Mike, Mike, who's Mike? What's his
Ah,
backstory?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it'll just pop up right here. I already have tried it. I can do it. I just don't have
yeah.
that'll come in at
Don,
some point.
Don,
Okay.
if Stanislavski was alive and a tech guy, this is what he would come up with.
Well, I hope so. There's so many little things behind the scenes that when it's
Well, the
done.
backstories, this is amazing.
Yeah.
What does it
Mhm.
differentiate? And let's say if the character is British, will it pronounce aluminium or will it say aluminum? You know?
That's you know what? I don't know. Um,
Okay,
I'll have to. So that's
just
where the
curious.
testers come in. And one final thing. It's not close to perfect no matter what it does. The same as a person prepping
Yeah,
will occasionally they're going to make their choice about a
right.
word, and you can't get 100% fidelity no matter what you do. So that's a case, for example, which one, if it's set in the UK though, we do
Yeah,
understand context about what's going on, and we'll get it right about 80-90% of the time at this point, and it'll keep getting better and better the more we figure out, aha, that's the one thing we need to have it focus on.
right.
And so this is version 1. So if you're willing to test on other things you've done, get a hold of
Yeah,
me. Okay.
I
So that's it.
certainly will. This is absolutely brilliant. Congratulations.
Yes, yeah, yay!
Yeah,
I
well,
put
thank
Um,
put
you.
us back.
This
Let's
has
see
been
Christine Vam. There you go.
all right.
That
Um,
Don, that is
oh,
wonderful. It's
I mean,
so
amazing.
Don, that's everything that I do to prep a book that takes me a week that you've done in 6.5 minutes. It's incredible.
well,
Yeah,
I'm really it's been many months of development, and now for disclaimer, I'm using AI in the background and for parts of it. And then there's
Yeah.
a boatload of custom stuff that I had to write, but I mean, it's doing both. And the beauty of the AI stuff, for all the complaining about it, is it understands context in a way that I can't just program because I don't understand context about it. Picks up things, and sometimes I'm like, that can't be right. And then I go read the text and it's like, oh, in context, that is right. And that's the beauty of it. It's not, in fact, if you run it twice, you will get the whole summary
Yeah.
slightly different. Just like if you had two people read something and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
summarize it for you, one person will pick out the things that
yes.
are interesting to it, and the other one will get another. It doesn't come out, it still gives the same big picture, but it'll
Yeah.
get a detail and pick a different thing each time
Sure.
it's done. So
It's really
pretty
amazing,
well.
Don, I'm so excited for you. It's great.
So, anyways,
Now
and
back
then
to Christine Vam.
Chris did ask at the end, could we put an audio clip of the character as a reference? Actually, wait till you not only at some point you will be able to do that. That might be version 2 or 3, but
Yeah.
you'll be able to get the summaries and the backstory, the complete summary for the story, and the summaries, the chapter stuff in audio format. Now, it won't be a great performance, okay,
Yeah.
because it will be an AI performance.
Right. Right.
But imagine if you were needing to prep a book and tomorrow you're doing 2 chapters, you could listen to the summary of the 2 chapters while you're out walking your dog,
That's
and
crazy.
come back. And
Wow.
so there's a bunch
Wow.
of other stuff that'll come in down the road. Okay.
Okay,
Absolutely
that's
brilliant.
great.
All right.
Congratulations.
Yay!
Thank you.
So let's go back to Ms. Vam here.
Oh, okay. I
Tell
didn't do
us.
anything that great. I
No,
Yeah.
feel like
everything you do is great.
Yeah.
You're
holy
always
moly.
amazing. There are 2 things I wanna cover in the short time. One,
Yeah.
I wanna let everybody know that Christine is available as a coach.
Yes.
What do you coach on?
Um,
I coach audiobook narration, and I teach voiceover and audiobooks at Montclair State University here in New Jersey.
And
well, I didn't know about that. That's cool.
I know
Yeah.
you have a seminar on finding joy and fun in
Oh,
life. Tell me about that.
so along with a colleague of mine, I developed a workshop called Play to help adults reconnect with their inner kid, to help them play more. There are, I don't want to say oodles, but I'm going to say oodles. There are oodles of benefits to play and what it does in your brain, from problem solving to relaxation, to calm, to better relationships with your friends and family. So, play has a lot of benefits for your brain, and for your body. And so, um, we did these workshops for actors, and I am, knock on wood, trying to develop something for those of us who don't work on the stage, film, TV, or vocally. so that they can experience what play can do for them. So yeah, that's something that's sort of in development in my life is researching
That's great. So much stuff.
and
That's so
thinking.
cool.
And
That's
tell us
really
about
cool.
how did you start, and tell us the story of curated audio?
So curated audio came about. I had just finished Spin and Puss in Boots, and I had gotten sort of really interested in the production side of things and wanting to do more and more of it. As a narrator, I was doing a lot of independent author work where I was producing my own audiobooks, um, as well as starting to sort of dip my toe into producing for other authors that didn't necessarily want to use my voice, but I could help find talent. And then I had met Jessica Kay while I was out in California a number of years ago, and we had kept in touch. And she and I just had a random conversation in 2020. We just got on the phone and we wanted to catch up, and we both sort of had this idea of wanting to start a production company, but really not wanting to do it alone. And so we kind of just said, "Do you want to do it together?" And that was it. That's how Curated started. So we are a full service production company for audiobooks, working with all the major publishers, independent authors, small press publishing. Um, we are it'll be year 5
So,
early next year.
okay, I
Yeah,
know nothing about
I've
it.
done it
So
too.
I have to. So, do you cast? Do
We do
you?
everything, soup to nuts. So we do everything from casting. So we do all the auditioning, the casting, scheduling, sometimes directing. We take care of all the post production, and then all the file specs that each individual client wants, and all the
So
other.
nobody's asked it yet in the chat, but everyone's going to say this. I know this question number one. How do I get on your roster? I want to work with
Oh,
you. I
awesome. So the reason we're called curated audio is because we are very picky about the roster. And so I invite anyone who's interested to email me at production@curatedaudio.net. Production@curatedaudio.net. Please send me a link to your website or your sample so that I can take a listen and tell me a little bit about yourself. But um, I am lazy and I don't like to read a lot, so please don't send me a book.
And I will say that they're as lovely as Christine seems, as she truly is, as is Jessica. I've worked for them a number of times, and they're wonderful to work for. I did have a question for you guys,
Yeah,
and I
sure.
have to send a note to Jessica. I have a public domain, what I believe is public domain. I'm going to find out. I mean, that's what I asked Jessica about.
Yeah.
But
Oh, that's definitely a Jessica
yeah,
question.
if it all works out the way I want it to, do you guys, if I come to you and do it, will you guys also distribute?
So Jessica has a company called Big Happy Family that does audiobook distribution that is not a part of Curated Audio,
Mhm.
but is connected with Curated Audio because of the fact that Jessica owns it. So that's certainly a question that you can ask her.
Okay.
It's interesting that you asked that question because I was just looking it up today what has to get done with public domain. I wanted my students over at Montclair State to look at public domain works to see if they could potentially publish them, and
Right.
it's a lot more difficult than I
Yeah.
realized.
Yeah.
So there has to be an ebook. There has to be you have to rewrite it.
Well, I did Harpo Speaks, and I wrote the forward
Oh,
myself,
incredible!
which changes things.
Yeah, which changes things.
Yeah.
So yeah,
By
there's
the
a
way,
lot.
Don, you gotta say the
can
address you
I
want.
did I get this right? I want to make sure.
Production@curatedaudio.net.
Production.
Okay,
They
but
should email
Production
did I get your site right
production@curatedaudio.net.
there? Can you see that?
Curatedaudio.net. Yep.
Okay. So it's supposed to be production. I just wanted to make sure that I
Yeah.
got the right
Yeah.
site
Yeah,
before I
yeah,
s-
yeah.
I'm sorry, go on, Christine.
But yeah, we absolutely Jessica can absolutely answer those questions for you. And then
Mm.
all of, because she's an entertainment lawyer as well, she can.
Yeah, well, I know that I did for you guys, I think for via Podium hired you guys. No,
Right.
no, not
Spotify?
Podium. Spotify hired you guys to do all those musical things, remember?
Right. Yeah.
Well, that was a lot of work, that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of that.
So we've been really lucky in terms of the clients that have trusted us with their work. So um PRH, Hachette, Spotify, Podium, just to name a few. Yeah.
That's
Did I
great.
get
So
that email address
I'm
correct
sorry.
there?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
Just want to make sure it's in the stream so people can find you.
Thanks, Don.
And
and someone asked much earlier, and I wanted to say, are the, musicals still available? I know that,
Yeah.
Puss in Boots is, and you go to Audible,
Yep.
they're there, and
Yes, they are.
they are,
And
I'm
they're
telling
also
you what,
on HarperCollins' website.
HarperCollins, yeah, they're really, really fun. They're charming if you have kids or if you have a kid at heart, you're a kid at heart. It's funny, it's lovely, it's kinda, you know, it reminds me of The Princess Bride, the music kinda, you know?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it has that kind of wonderful feel. It's like Mel Brooks, it's just
Oh, Harvey will absolutely love that reference. So Harvey did 99.9% of the writing on both of those.
yeah.
Well, definitely on Puss in Boots. We actually wrote for the first one, but yeah, there's definitely an elevated language to it that we sort of were criticized about, but I think makes them, I think sometimes as an industry, we play down to kids, and they don't need to be played
They
down
don't
to.
need to be, no, no.
So the language can sometimes feel a little elevated and a little mature, but my kids understood it. So
Kids are smart. They're much smarter than people give them credit for.
yes, agreed. And I think we should stop dumbing down their entertainment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I need my
I
entertainment dumbed down, but that's a different
it's
discussion.
That's a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah, the older I get, the dumber I need it. This I understand completely.
uh,
So what's
so
coming up next for you? Where do you think you may be going? Are you going to just
Oh my God, that's such a hard question, Don.
how about the next 6 months?
Oh, the next 6 months. Well, just continuing to grow curated, to increase our roster with really talented folks, to bring on new clients would be lovely. Curated is a big part of my focus right now. Um, and then there are some things in the works with play. I don't want to jinx it, but I am in the final edits of writing my book about play. Um, Working title, press play. I'm not really sure what it's going to be, but it's a workbook to help adults work through how to play. And I'm hoping to create a workshop around that. But listen, now that I've put it out on YouTube, now I have to do it. Thanks a lot, Don and
Yeah.
Johnny, for that.
Well, we're here to provide more work for you,
More
okay?
yeah,
pressure.
that's right.
More unpaid work for
Incentive.
you.
We call it incentive.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. So yeah. So those are the things I'm hoping to do next year.
And where do you see it in it? So curated now is you two, correct? Primarily?
Yeah,
Do
it's
you
just the
see
two of us right now.
do you see it do you see taking on another half dozen people over time, or is this gonna
I think that's the goal, is that curated will grow to a size where we can sort of bring people on. But I think the danger of bringing too many folks on is that our fingerprint is no longer on it.
right?
And it's really important to both Jessica and I that we are very much a part of the casting process and the production process. Um, and that we don't grow to a size that no longer allows us to be a part of the production.
Yeah, I noticed you
So
didn't call me for any of the spots yet.
D
And
pure oversight, I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, right.
You
No,
weren't.
I think you should say that pure insight
Oh, there
is
Yeah,
you
yeah,
go.
yeah,
proper.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
did it right. You did it right.
No, Don, they thought about bringing you in.
That's what I'm sure
yeah,
they
but
did.
Johnny was like, "Don't do that."
Yeah,
So I
right.
didn't.
Common response, appropriate at the same time.
Yeah, so
They
yeah, I think
tabled
it
it
would be
immediately.
great to have a little bit of help. It would be awesome, but, I am a control freak, so it would probably take a little bit of time for me to get used to that idea of somebody,
Yeah,
doing the things. Yeah,
but
It is hard when it's your project, your
yeah,
baby, your creative
yep,
idea. It's hard to, even though it can be helpful, it's hard to accept the help.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I know when
trust.
I do the New England narrator retreat, I do a lot that I probably could farm out,
Yeah,
but then I don't feel like, that that's right exactly what I want, you know?
yeah,
But you can only press so many, you only have so many fingers and so much time, you have to
yeah.
give some things up.
Yeah. And so I think for me, not that I don't enjoy narrating anymore, because I do, but it would be nice to spend some time um, offering work to others. I feel like I
Yes.
had my time in the sun as a narrator, and I got to experience being busy all the time and being, somebody's it girl for a minute, and I got to accept awards, and I had a lot of blessings as a narrator, and I kind of feel like now with curated, I have an opportunity to give those opportunities to others, and I really enjoy that. So
Yeah, that's great. I don't think I'm at that place yet where I wanna
you don't want to share.
no.
I don't think
You
you'll
want
ever get
all the
there,
toys
Johnny.
for yourself, Johnny.
I don't mind teaching people, but I'm not gonna. Yeah,
I will say this. So here's the benefit of curated audio. And this is such a selfish thing to say, but I'm going to say it. But last week, my family and I went to Punta Cana and I didn't have to take off work. I just needed to bring my laptop. So I was like doing curated work, but I was on a beach,
yeah.
in the DR. That's the
After all
beauty of not narrating.
after all the books you've done, let me ask you this: do you
Yeah.
find yourself, and I'm going to use the word faster, but not in a negative sense. And let's say here's a 10-hour book.
Yeah.
Do you find you can deliver that faster now than you used to? I mean, do things go trippingly along pretty much? Because I know a lot of actors who work a lot of books, and they're still what they call themselves slow. You know,
I I think I'm incredibly efficient in the booth, but I think that
that's what I
efficiency has a lot
suspected.
to do with how I prep.
That's exactly what I suspected because I like to, people say if you're in the booth, that people always say, I was, I did 8 hours in the booth today, but they've only got an hour of usable
Yeah,
stuff.
no.
So that's not the
No, because
thing you
they're
want.
in those 7 hours, they're looking up pronunciations that they should
Yeah.
have looked up before they got in there. Yeah, I have a very strict rule that, you know, I do the directorial work out here, and I do the acting work in there.
Right. And you get my time in the booth for me at least is pretty much if I'm in there for 3 hours, I'm gonna have close to 3 hours of stuff because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And that allows you, frankly, to do a lot more books
yeah,
if in the time you put in, you're actually doing the actual acting work.
correct.
So, but as you said, prep it, get it ready, so when you go in there, you're working.
Yeah. You're efficient. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I think what is correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the average is a 2-to-1 ratio inside the booth.
That's the
Um,
ratio average, yeah, but that's you and I are not.
I think I have gotten myself to like a 1.5 to 1.
But
Yeah,
I'm not strict 1-to-1. I'm not a Johnny
I'm
Heller,
not nobody's one to one,
but,
right? Nobody's there, but yeah,
um,
the closest you can get to a 1-1 ratio with
yeah,
without sucking is
yeah,
great.
exactly,
yeah, now you put
exactly.
the caveats on it. Gee.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah,
my
yeah.
2 caveats are this one and
But yes,
and don't suck. Yeah, those 2 things will steer you right through the career well.
I have a Post-it note. I should take a picture for you later. I have a Post-it note in my booth, and it says, "Just read the words. You need the money.
So I missed it.
Just read the words. You need the money."
Yeah. Uh, this has been so delightful. It's so great. So, is there a book coming up that you're working on now, or
Ooh,
what are you doing right?
yeah, I just did a book called, Winter White. Oh god, who's it by? Let me look real quick. Winter White. I should know the author, right? By Annie Carty. It's a phenomenal, YA story. I haven't done a book that good in a long time, so I was really happy to do it.
When does it come out-ish?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well,
I guess I just we haven't even handed in final files yet,
oh,
so
so it
it
won't
says
be
on
tomorrow.
sale January 27th.
Alright, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Anything you wanna tell us about, that people should look out for?
No, I wasn't prepared for that question, Don.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't think
Sorry.
so. I don't think so. I typically hide, you know, typically hide these days. Um, I
That's
like it
okay.
that way.
So
Yeah.
curated audio is what people need to
Curated
watch.
audio is a big is my big focus right now, and yeah. And then we'll see what happens if I can get this book finished. Maybe that'll be my next thing.
Okay.
Keep your
Cool,
fingers
cool.
crossed for me.
And Johnny, you have anything fun coming up?
The biggest thing I've got coming out is Todd Goldberg, an author I work for a lot. He writes kind of humorous crime thrillers. He did the Gangsterland series, which I narrated, where I play
Ooh,
a hitman for the mob who has to go on the run and becomes a Jewish rabbi in Vegas,
Well,
and it's 3
typecast.
books.
it's
And
like Sister Act.
He's got a new book coming out that I'm sure is going to be a TV movie. It's called Only Way Out. It comes out early December. It's a crime thriller, dark humor, and it's going to be big. It's a good book. I mean, if you don't like me narrating it, then go read it because it's really good.
Oh, Johnny, can I just tell you that I think I told you this before, that my son goes to bed every night listening to your voice.
You want me
You
to stop? You want me to stop calling him? Is that what you're saying?
you you narrate a book about horses, and my son is obsessed with horses.
I
Um,
don't have a clue what we're talking about.
it's like this
Horses?
nonfiction book about horses, and he listens to it every single night. So every night I hear your voice, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, Johnny was shaken."
That's
Well,
wonderful to know.
sorry to hear
I don't
that.
I don't
I'll find the name of it because of course it escapes
But
me. There was
you
a book
probably
there.
find out it's not me at all. Yeah,
No, it's definitely you.
I
Definitely.
don't remember it. Oh, it's probably a national was it a National Geographic book?
Uh,
And maybe I did a whole bunch of those.
let's just look it up. Audible, Johnny Heller, horses.
Horses.
Just
Uh,
the tail end of them?
yeah, yeah. It's
Of course, Google's not helping me
yeah,
today.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Don't worry. No,
I'll look
I'm
that
He'll
up
sure
figure
for
it out.
next week and make
I'm
sure.
Yeah.
delighted that he's happy to hear about
Oh
horses.
my god, he's in love
Yeah,
with it.
yeah.
And he
Well,
always goes, "You know him, right, mom? You know him." I'm like, "Yeah, you're a celebrity in our house. You know him,
Oh,
right?"
well, we still have to do our dinner. Anyway,
"Oh, yes, please."
you have been and are always a delight. I just so you guys can tell she's just a bright,
Oh,
wonderful
thank
human being,
you.
just the best. And it's always a delight to see you and share time. And Don, congratulations
Oh,
on that
seriously.
fantastic um,
New
help
software.
to all narrators and all actors. It's brilliant, literally brilliant. Which is I've never put those words in combination with you before.
right.
So this is exciting for me. Yeah.
Well, you're not the only one, by the way. We'll just say there's a
Oh my goodness.
wide swath of you. So
Well,
we
thank you
appreciate you
both.
being here this week. And as always, we look forward to seeing you on the wires. We'll see you next week. Share, like, and appreciate.